Hello, you're watching TelecomTV. My name is Martin Warwick and I'm talking with Simon Dumbleton, who is the VP of Strategic Business Development with Acision. Simon, welcome. We're going to be talking about SMS and the rumoured death of SMS, which has been rumoured for about the past 10 years, even though SMS is no more than 20 years old. That said, though, recent reports have shown that SMS use is dying away to some extent. Is that what you find now, and what will replace it?
We are seeing, a mixed reports across the market, and we have, as you rightfully pointed out, seen reports for the last few years that there will be the death of SMS. I think it's realistic to say, that will happen at some point. Technology evolves at a rate, and something will come along that will replace SMS. So, as we're seeing in the industry with the relaunch of Joyn in Spain, where all three operators have joined together to launch RCSE services, which are interworked across the operators, that this is an industry strategy to really kind of look at how do we evolve the messaging services going forwards and deliver an alternative to SMS and MMS going forwards for those subscribers who want a richer communication service.
Okay, now you mentioned a couple of things. The audience will know what this is, but there'll be one or two that don't. So tell us what Joyn is, and what was the other one you said about Rich Services Suite? Explain what they are first.
Joyn is the GSM Association's marketing brand for the Rich Communication Suite of services. What the Rich Communication Services are a set of services that operate over IP instead of the traditional messaging services like SMS. And what they enable subscribers to do is really experience a more advanced set of capabilities that smartphones can deliver now. So things like awareness of whether your communication partner is present, for example, and what their capabilities might be like for communication. So whether they're able to receive chat communication, whether you could send them a picture, whether you could share video with them, and so on. And these are all the kind of capabilities that we look to deliver going forwards over this medium.
Is this also about interoperability between different messaging systems? I would have thought from the word join, even though it's Joyn, the implication there is that this will run and join together nicely. Is that correct?
So the objective clearly is that we join operator communities together. But with the kind of history that Acision have within messaging, as you can imagine, with the 20-year anniversary of SMS and so on, and Acision being involved from day one, we believe that communicating and delivering messages is key to everything. So if you're using Joyn as a service, but the person you want to communicate with is not using Joyn, then obviously that message still needs to be delivered. And what's important is you as a user should not have to choose which service you want to use. You should be able to choose whichever one you want, and the recipient should still be able to receive that message regardless of what service they're using, and regardless of how they might be attached to a network. So they might be using a PC attached to Wi-Fi, not necessarily attached to a mobile network at that particular time.
We know that SMS came about more or less as a consumer item, came about more or less by accident all those years ago. Has it been always a good cash cow for the telcos?
Well, as we discussed earlier, so I've been involved in SMS since I think it was 1996. So I'd like to think it's been very, very profitable for the telcos, because obviously I've been involved in delivering the service to them. And definitely, yes, it has. But we've seen the dynamics of the billing change over recent times. So, certainly in some markets, we've seen that the telcos have seen the impact of these OTTs come along and offering what is perceived to be a free service or a very cheap service. And in other markets such as North America, we've seen that the telcos have reacted quite nimbly to this threat and packaged more and more capabilities into the bundle that the subscriber contracts for. And that makes it a bit of a challenge, I think, for the operator to really recognise what is messaging revenue versus what is the bundle revenue.
Because things are bundled, and well, presumably also the same thing's happening here, Simon, because we've got O2 providing bundled services and others. So are they finding it hard to split out from their overall revenue figures precisely what they get from messaging?
Well, they still report a degree of revenue from messaging, and it's still very, very healthy. But certainly, you would expect that's going to be a trend going forwards. That increased bundling is one thing, and we've got to offer something which is attractive to subscribers going forward, which offers an alternative to the OTTs.
So there's the financial side of it there. There's also the threat from OTT players. Is that important? Are they really a big threat?
What we have to kind of look at is really what is it that subscribers are looking for. So with the market research and really consumer-oriented research that we've carried out at Acision, we've identified some key areas that really what we see as being interesting for subscribers. So the advanced capabilities that these OTTs are delivering is certainly some of the features that subscribers are looking for. So things like social presence, whether somebody is available to be communicated with, is obviously something that's very attractive and isn't available to somebody using SMS. So you don't, with SMS, you don't know whether the person is available to chat. You send them a message and kind of hope that you get a response. And people are used to the speed of response of SMS, and we see that going forward as well. So whatever service you offer a subscriber, it's got to be very, very reliable. We need to enhance it with these kind of capabilities that we're seeing from the OTTs, and this is certainly the kind of capabilities that are provided within the Joyn framework.
So how are you finding that what we might call traditional telcos are reacting to the OTT threat?
The reactions are mixed at the minute. So we've obviously seen the bundling of services and in the contract. We're also seeing the likes of Telefonica with the To Go initiative that they've launched, and in addition to that, to provide the Joyn initiative.
Indeed.
So what we're seeing is both Telefonica are playing both camps really, and they're offering both services, and I think they're trying to play the game and make sure that whichever one takes off, they're involved in and they play the safe game for them.
How are the telcos going to monetize the new services they're going to be offering during the demise or as SMS slowly withers on the vine? Monetisation has always been a problem for mobile phone companies under these sort of circumstances. How are they doing it?
So I think this is probably the biggest challenge of all the challenges. Technology is probably relatively easy in comparison with monetisation. Monetising the services is clear that right now the operators are doing bundling. That's clear. More and more bundling is happening, and really the differentiation between an operator bundled service and an OTT type service has got to come down to some of the key facets of the service that the operator can offer, which is quality of service and time to deliver. When you look at the likes of the WhatsApps and so on, it's interesting if you kind of go and Google WhatsApp, then you start seeing things like websites which are reporting on the availability of these kinds of services. So it's clear that there's a perception that they're not as reliable as what we call telco grade services, which is the kind of business that we're in and the telcos are in.
Because one thing we must remember is that telcos have still enormous strengths. In addition to the reach of the network and the robustness of the network, they also have access to an immense amount of data. They're sitting on a huge amount of consumer information and behavioural patterns. Is that playing into this as well?
Well, certainly we are seeing that operators are looking at ways of monetising that. I think we have to be very careful around privacy, and certainly that's going to be an interesting track to follow going forward. How can an operator effectively monetise that data without breaching any kind of privacy concerns that subscribers and obviously the kind of regulators might have?
Well, it's easy when the information, the data is anonymised and aggregated, but that only gives you that. I mean, that's pretty much like a Birmingham screwdriver, isn't it? Bash it away. It's not exactly a subtle tool. Whereas when you're getting into drilling into customer data to such an extent that you can identify not just the individual, we know about that and we'll put that to one side, but identify small individual behavioural patterns so you can advertise at them or send them offers and all the rest of it. That's when you get onto the verge of the privacy issue and everything else. And telcos, have taken the moral high ground on this so far and said, we're not getting involved in that. But at some point, surely, if these things are going to follow forward, they're going to have to get more and more into individual personal data.
Absolutely, and there have been some press releases recently about, as another example, Telefonica are especially looking into this and looking at ways of monetising that. But again, I think the concerns there about how do you effectively do this? How do you, we've seen a lot of hype around sort of mobile advertising in the past, and how can that data effectively be used to provide the adequate information in order to provide the rich information and rich targeted information that the advertisers want. So certainly, I think that's going to be a challenge going forward.
Acision, your tagline is a message is a message, which is a good message. I really do think it is. But what do you mean by that? And why do you say a message is a message? It's a truism, obviously.
I think, and I reflect on this, I firmly believe that when somebody wants to communicate, they need to have the flexibility to communicate how and when they want to communicate. And that communication needs to be delivered in a timely and reliable manner. And all of our market research reflects that this is what consumers want out of messaging services. So, what we mean by a message in a message is a message, getting my tongue tied, is really that we deliver seamless messaging services. So we enable somebody to use Joyn or RCS type services to send messages and communicate, but it doesn't matter what technology or how the recipient is using whatever device they're using, they can still receive that message and they can reply to that message, and the other party will receive the message in whatever client or whatever technology they want to use. So we're really looking at giving subscribers the flexibility and the power to make the decision about how they want to communicate, regardless of which network operator they're using or how they're attached to a network.
Simon Dumbleton, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.